The dissolution of a marriage represents far more than a legal separation or the division of material possessions. In the spiritual realm, divorce creates profound energetic shifts that remain invisible to the physical eye, yet powerfully impact our soul's journey. As Edgar once observed in his readings, what we sow in our relationships, we later reap in our spiritual development. When two souls unite in marriage, they create an etheric bond that transcends physical connection. This bond forms a unique energetic signature in the spiritual realm, a living, breathing entity composed of shared experiences, emotions, promises, and soul growth. The severing of this bond through divorce does not simply dissolve this energy. Rather, it transforms it, often creating what spiritual teachers refer to as soul cicatrices. These soul cicatrices manifest as subtle energetic imprints that remain within our auric field long after the divorce papers are signed. They are not punishments or judgments from a divine source, but rather natural consequences of the energetic processes that occur when deep bonds are broken. Like physical scars, these energetic markings tell the story of our soul's journey and carry important wisdom if we learn to read them correctly. The most immediate manifestation of these soul cicatrices appears in how we approach future relationships. Many divorced individuals experience inexplicable resistance to new connections, even when consciously desiring companionship. This resistance isn't merely psychological, but energetic, the soul remembering the pain of separation and attempting to protect itself from further wounding. Others may find themselves mysteriously attracted to partners who trigger the same unhealed wounds, creating a spiritual echo chamber where the same lessons repeat until learned. The energetic field surrounding a person who has experienced divorce often carries distinctive patterns that sensitive individuals can perceive. These patterns may appear as breaks or tears in the normally smooth flow of personal energy, particularly around the heart chakra. The energy centers most affected by divorce typically include the heart, the center of love and connection, the solar plexus, the seat of personal power and identity, and the sacral chakra, governing intimacy and creativity. What many fail to recognize is that these energetic alterations affect not only our romantic relationships, but all forms of human connection. Friends, family members, colleagues, and even casual acquaintances unconsciously respond to the shifted energetic signature we carry after divorce. Some may feel inexplicably drawn to offer healing energy, while others may unconsciously distance themselves, responding to the unseen wounds we carry. The depth and persistence of these soul cicatrices correlate directly with several spiritual factors: the intensity of the original soul connection, the manner in which the relationship ended, the degree of conscious awareness brought to the separation process, and the spiritual development of both individuals involved. A divorce handled with compassion, mutual respect, and conscious awareness creates very different energetic patterns than one marked by bitterness, blame, and unconscious reactivity. Of particular significance is how thoughts and emotions during the separation process become energetically imprinted in these soul cicatrices. Each harsh word, vengeful thought, or moment of deliberate hurt creates deeper, more complex energetic entanglements that may require multiple lifetimes to resolve. Conversely, each act of forgiveness, compassion, and understanding helps to smooth these energetic ruptures, facilitating faster healing and growth. It is important to understand that these energetic markings are not permanent condemnations, but rather opportunities for profound soul evolution. The very wounds that cause us pain also open doorways to deeper spiritual awareness and compassion. Many spiritual teachers observe that some of the most spiritually advanced souls carry the markings of profound relationship struggles, having transformed these wounds into wisdom that serves humanity. The recognition of these subtle energetic realities does not mean we should avoid divorce when a relationship has fulfilled its spiritual purpose. Rather, it invites us to approach the dissolution of marriage with greater consciousness, understanding that how we separate is as spiritually significant as how we come together. Every thought, word, and action during this process creates energetic ripples that will influence our soul's journey far beyond our current understanding of time. When two souls agree to unite in marriage, They are often fulfilling ancient agreements made long before their current physical incarnation. These soul contracts exist in the spiritual realm as sacred commitments to help one another evolve through the powerful catalyst of intimate relationship. The dissolution of marriage through divorce, therefore, represents a significant moment in the soul's journey, either the completion of a karmic contract or a deviation from the original spiritual agreement. Many spiritual traditions teach that before incarnating, souls carefully select the relationships that will provide the necessary challenges and opportunities for growth. These pre-birth agreements are not casual arrangements, but profound commitments to assist one another's evolution. In this light, marriage represents one of the most potent vehicles for spiritual development, offering unparalleled opportunities for growth through both joy and challenge. The karmic dimensions of divorce become evident when we observe the patterns that emerge during the separation process. Some divorces proceed with remarkable ease and mutual respect, suggesting that the souls involved have completed their agreed-upon work together. These partnerships often end with a sense of completion rather than failure, a graduation rather than a termination. Both individuals may experience an inexplicable sense of rightness about the separation, despite the natural grief that accompanies it. In contrast, divorces marked by intense conflict, unresolved bitterness, or persistent attachment often indicate incomplete karmic work. The very resistance to separation suggests that the souls have not yet extracted the full spiritual value from their connection. The emotional intensity that accompanies such divorces reflects not merely human attachment, but the soul's recognition that important work remains unfinished. Of particular significance are the recurring themes that emerge during marital dissolution. If financial disputes dominate the separation, this often reflects karmic patterns related to material security and worth. When custody battles become the central focus, the souls are frequently working through issues of control, protection, and legacy that span multiple lifetimes. Betrayal through infidelity often indicates soul contracts involving lessons about trust, possession, and the nature of love itself. The question that holds profound spiritual significance is whether a divorce represents the fulfillment or the abandonment of soul contracts. This determination depends not on whether the marriage endures, but on whether the souls involved have embraced and integrated the lessons their union was designed to teach. A marriage that ends after both partners have grown through their challenges may perfectly fulfill its spiritual purpose, while a marriage that endures without promoting soul evolution may represent a karmic stagnation rather than success. What many fail to recognize is that divorce itself can be part of the original soul agreement, a planned chapter in the spiritual journey rather than a deviation from it. Some souls contract to experience the powerful catalyst of separation as a means of accelerating particular aspects of their growth. The pain of divorce can crack open the heart in ways that allow for unprecedented spiritual expansion, creating openings for divine wisdom that might remain inaccessible in more comfortable circumstances. The karmic implications of how a divorce unfolds cannot be overstated. Each decision made during the separation process, whether to pursue litigation or mediation, to communicate with honesty or manipulation, to practice forgiveness or cultivate resentment, creates energetic patterns that will influence future incarnations. A divorce approached with conscious awareness becomes an opportunity to resolve karmic debts rather than accumulate new ones. Those who work consciously with these spiritual principles often report experiencing profound guidance during the divorce process, intuitive knowing about when to stand firm and when to yield, when to speak and when to remain silent. This guidance reflects the soul's wisdom about the karmic dimensions of the separation and the highest path toward resolution. By listening to this deeper wisdom rather than being driven solely by fear, anger, or attachment to outcome, individuals can navigate divorce in alignment with their highest spiritual purpose. It is worth noting that karmic contracts do not imply predestination without free will. While souls may agree upon certain relationships and challenges before incarnating, they retain the freedom to respond to these circumstances with varying degrees of consciousness. The spiritual opportunity of divorce lies precisely in the choice to approach this challenging transition with awareness rather than reactivity, compassion rather than vengeance, growth rather than regression. Some of the most significant spiritual growth occurs when individuals recognize that their spouse served as a perfect karmic teacher, providing exactly the challenges needed for their evolution. This recognition often emerges not during the marriage but in the aftermath of divorce, when emotional reactivity has subsided and the soul's perspective becomes more accessible. Many report a moment of profound gratitude for the former spouse, understanding that the relationship, including its ending, served the highest purpose for all involved. The completion of karmic contracts through divorce doesn't necessarily mean that all connection between the souls is severed. Many continue to work together in different capacities, especially when children are involved. The transformation of a romantic partnership into a different form of relationship often represents not the ending of soul work, but its evolution into a new phase with different lessons and opportunities for growth. One of the most telling indications of unresolved karmic lessons in relationships is the phenomenon of pattern repetition. Those who experience successive divorces or repeatedly attract partners with strikingly similar characteristics are not merely victims of coincidence or poor judgment. Rather, they are encountering the spiritual principle that what remains unhealed will continue to manifest until the soul integrates the necessary wisdom. These relationship patterns operate through subtle energetic mechanisms that transcend conscious awareness. The unhealed aspects of our being emit specific vibrational frequencies that magnetically attract experiences designed to bring these wounds into consciousness. This spiritual law ensures that no essential lesson remains unlearned across the span of soul evolution, though it may require multiple attempts and multiple relationships before awareness dawns. The repetitive nature of these patterns reveals their karmic origins. When an individual divorces one controlling partner, only to marry another with the same tendencies, they are encountering not a cruel twist of fate, but a persistent soul lesson about personal power, boundaries, and self-worth. Similarly, those who repeatedly experience abandonment through divorce are often working through ancient soul memories of separation and rejection that seek resolution in the present lifetime. What makes these patterns particularly challenging to recognize is that they often appear in different external forms while maintaining the same essential energetic signature. A person might divorce a partner who controlled through criticism, then marry someone who controls through silence or withdrawal. Though the behaviors differ, the underlying energetic dynamic and the spiritual lesson it contains remains consistent. This disguised repetition explains why many individuals genuinely believe they have chosen differently, only to find themselves facing familiar emotional territory in a new relationship. These recurring patterns become especially evident at the moment of relationship dissolution. The circumstances surrounding successive divorces often reveal striking similarities. Similar accusations exchanged, similar emotional reactions triggered, similar unresolved feelings in the aftermath. These parallels point to the presence of a spiritual template that the soul continues to recreate until the embedded wisdom is fully extracted and integrated. The psychological concept of projection provides a window into understanding these karmic patterns. What we most strongly react to in our partners, whether positively or negatively, often reflects disowned aspects of our own being. The qualities that initially attract us and later repel us in a spouse frequently represent parts of ourselves seeking acknowledgement and integration. Divorce, then, becomes not merely the rejection of another person, but the rejection of unrecognized aspects of the self. A rejection that ensures these aspects will appear again in future relationships until accepted. The spiritual significance of these patterns extends beyond the individual to collective soul groups that reincarnate together to work through shared karmic themes. Many who experience repetitive relationship patterns discover, through past life regression or intuitive recognition, that they have danced with the same souls across multiple lifetimes, alternating roles and scenarios while working through specific lessons together. From this perspective, successive divorces may represent different attempts to resolve ancient soul contracts with familiar spiritual companions. Breaking free from these repetitive patterns requires a level of conscious awareness that transcends intellectual understanding. Many individuals can articulate perfectly why their relationships failed and what patterns they hope to avoid. yet find themselves unconsciously recreating the same dynamics. This discrepancy highlights the distinction between mental knowledge and soul integration, the difference between intellectually recognizing a pattern and energetically transforming it at the level of being. The spiritual practices that facilitate this deeper transformation often involve conscious engagement with the shadow aspects of self. By willingly exploring the disowned qualities that our partners trigger in us, we begin the alchemical process of integration that releases the energetic charge behind repetitive patterns. This exploration requires extraordinary courage and honesty, as it inevitably leads to confronting the ways in which we have contributed to, and even created, the very dynamics we believe have been imposed upon us. Time between relationships proves crucial for this integrative work. Those who move immediately from one marriage to another rarely create sufficient space for the soul to process and integrate the lessons of the previous relationship. This rushing from one partnership to another often represents an unconscious avoidance of the very introspection that would break the cycle of repetition. The spiritual wisdom traditions consistently emphasize the value of solitude and reflection following significant relationship transitions like divorce. The evolutionary purpose of these repetitive patterns becomes clear when viewed through the lens of soul development. Each iteration of a pattern provides another opportunity to respond differently, to bring greater consciousness, compassion, and clarity to the same energetic trigger. This progressive refinement of response represents the soul's gradual mastery of particular lessons, eventually leading to the transformation or dissolution of the pattern itself. Those who successfully break these cycles often report a distinct shift in their energetic field, a lightness, clarity, and freedom that permeates their entire being. This shift reflects the liberation of energy previously bound in unconscious patterns, now available for creative expression and spiritual evolution. Such individuals typically find that their next relationships differ qualitatively from previous ones, attracting partners who mirror their new level of consciousness rather than their unresolved wounds. Ultimately, the repetitive relationship patterns that lead to successive divorces offer an invitation to profound spiritual awakening. By recognizing these patterns as soul-level communications rather than personal failings, we transform what might otherwise be experienced as meaningless suffering into purposeful evolution. In this light, even the most painful cycle of relationship dissolution becomes a sacred path leading toward greater wholeness, wisdom, and capacity for authentic connection. The spiritual aftermath of divorce presents one of life's most powerful opportunities for soul transformation. What initially appears as devastating loss gradually reveals itself as sacred ground for profound healing and spiritual awakening. This final chapter explores the practices, perspectives, and processes that transmute the pain of marital dissolution into soul-level growth and renewed capacity for authentic connection. The journey of spiritual healing after divorce begins with the acknowledgement of energetic reality. The etheric bonds formed during marriage do not immediately dissolve with legal documentation or physical separation. These invisible connections remain active in the spiritual realm, continuing to channel energy between former partners long after external ties have been severed. Conscious work with these energetic bonds constitutes the first essential step in the healing process. The practice of energetic cord cutting represents one of the most powerful tools for this purpose. This spiritual technique involves visualizing and releasing the etheric connections that bind one to a former spouse. When performed with sincere intention and reverence for the relationship's spiritual purpose, cord cutting liberates vital energy previously entangled in outdated connections. This practice differs fundamentally from emotional rejection of the former partner, instead representing a loving release that honors both souls' continued evolution along separate paths. Equally important is the spiritual practice of forgiveness, not as a single act, but as an ongoing process of energetic liberation. True forgiveness operates beyond the mental level, reaching into the energetic imprints where resentment, blame, and hurt remain encoded in the soul's field. This deeper forgiveness doesn't require reconciliation with the former spouse or approval of hurtful actions. Rather, it represents the soul's decision to release the energetic charge attached to painful experiences, transforming these experiences from sources of constriction to catalysts for expansion. The transmutation of grief constitutes another essential element of post-divorce spiritual healing. Unprocessed grief becomes energetically trapped in the body, an auric field, creating blockages that impede the flow of life force and receptivity to new experiences. Spiritual traditions worldwide offer specific practices for honoring and releasing grief, from ritual ceremonies marking the end of the marriage to expressive arts that give form to formless emotion. These practices allow grief to fulfill its spiritual function as a purifying force rather than becoming a persistent energetic obstruction. Among the most profound spiritual opportunities following divorce is the reclamation of projected aspects of self. During marriage, partners inevitably project disowned qualities onto one another, seeing in the spouse what remains unconscious within themselves. The dissolution of marriage provides an unparalleled opportunity to recognize and reintegrate these projections, restoring wholeness to the fragmented self. This reintegration often begins with the courageous question, what qualities in my former spouse most attracted or repelled me, and how might these reflect disowned aspects of myself? For many, divorce initiates an essential reassessment of spiritual beliefs themselves. Previous concepts of divine order, soul connections, and the purpose of relationship may appear inadequate in the face of marital dissolution. This apparent spiritual crisis actually opens the door to more authentic understanding, as inherited or adopted beliefs give way to direct spiritual knowing born of lived experience. Many report that their most genuine spiritual insights emerged precisely from the dismantling of previous belief systems during the divorce process. The creation of new relationship with self emerges as perhaps the most transformative aspect of post-divorce spiritual work. Many discover that their marriage involved significant self-abandonment, subtle or overt departures from authentic needs, values, and soul purpose. The space created by divorce allows for renewed commitment to self-honoring choices, boundaries that reflect true values, and alignment with deeper soul imperatives. This renewed self-relationship provides the essential foundation for healthier connections with others in the future. Ritual plays a particularly important role in this healing journey. The legal process of divorce rarely addresses the soul's need for meaningful closure and transition. Creating personal rituals to mark the end of the marriage and the beginning of a new chapter provides essential structure for the inner transformation occurring beneath the surface of external changes. These rituals need not be elaborate. Simple ceremonies involving elements like fire, water, earth, and air can provide powerful symbolic containers for releasing the old and consecrating the new. Community support constitutes another crucial element of spiritual healing after divorce. While the inner journey remains deeply personal, the presence of conscious witnesses helps anchor new energetic patterns and provides essential mirroring during times of doubt or regression. Sacred circles, spiritual counseling, and healing communities offer spaces where the divorced person's transformation receives validation and reinforcement, counterbalancing the isolation that often accompanies major life transitions. As healing progresses, many experience spontaneous forgiveness toward themselves, a natural outcome of the soul's recognition that all relationships serve a higher purpose in spiritual evolution. This self-forgiveness dissolves the energetic residue of shame, failure, and unworthiness that divorce often activates. The emergence of authentic self-compassion signals a significant milestone in the healing journey, indicating that the soul has integrated essential wisdom from the marriage and its ending. The ultimate spiritual fruit of conscious healing after divorce manifests as capacity for more authentic connection. Having traversed the territory of relationship dissolution with awareness, individuals develop an embodied wisdom about genuine intimacy that transcends intellectual understanding. This wisdom expresses itself as heightened discernment in choosing future partners, greater courage in remaining authentic within connection, an expanded capacity to love without the distortions of projection, dependency, or fear. From the highest spiritual perspective, divorce represents neither failure nor punishment, but rather a powerful vehicle for soul evolution. The very experiences that cause the greatest suffering also offer the most profound opportunities for awakening. By approaching the ending of marriage as sacred territory worthy of conscious attention, we transform what might otherwise remain mere personal tragedy into a meaningful chapter in the soul's eternal journey toward greater wholeness, wisdom, and capacity for love. In the words that have been attributed to Edgar, what appears as loss on the material plane often represents the soul's greatest opportunity for expansion. Bao, the invisible karma of divorce, when consciously engaged, becomes not a burden to bear, but a doorway to unprecedented spiritual growth, a transformation that ultimately serves not only our own evolution, but the healing of collective consciousness itself. If these teachings on the spiritual dimensions of divorce have resonated with your soul's journey, I invite you to join our community of seekers by subscribing to this channel. Your subscription supports the continuation of this sacred knowledge being shared. Share your own experiences of relationship transformation in the comments below. Your wisdom may be precisely what another soul needs to hear in this moment. How has divorce shaped your spiritual path? What healing practices have transformed your pain into growth? Remember, in sharing our stories, we create healing ripples that extend far beyond what we can see. Subscribe now and join the conversation as we walk this path of spiritual awakening together.